back to another video. Today we are talking about Kisame versus Deidara. Now, as we know, they're both members of the Akatsuki. Kisame specializing in water style jutsu, and Deidara specializing in the explosion technique jutsu, or his art or clay technique, right? Now, as we know, Kisame is in a whole level tier power above Deidara. That is no question. Kisame is one of the strongest Akatsuki members to date. The problem with this matchup, it's not a power thing, it's a style thing. For example, if Kisame floods the battlefield with water, Deidara, essentially, he's a pretty smart shinobi and a prodigy worthy of his skills, right? Keeps his distance. He's a distance fighter. He doesn't want to be up close and personal and fight you. When he does that, you know how he got folded by Sasuke, or at least put in a bad situation by Sasuke. And he, of course, would have enough knowledge from Kisame to be like, can't be on the ground, can't fight him hand to hand, or at least with the Kisame and the Samehada. Now, with that's where the question lies. Can Samehada absorb or eat Kisame's explosions or his clay? As they're not chakra per se, they're just clay bombs, which is a real interesting question. I would like to know what your thoughts is in the comment section about that, but I'm going to assume it can't for in this fight. And if it can't in this fight, Deidara wins this fight. The explosions he will, of course, launch from afar, especially if Kisame nukes the field with nothing but water. He's just going to launch explosion after explosion in the water. And I'm using physics. I know I shouldn't do it. With Naruto, it's going to create a bigger explosion, create bigger impact to Kisame, where the water would not mean much in a tactical advantage. Nothing that Kisame has would have a tactical advantage to Deidara. Now you could say, oh, but Kisame may speed blitz him and end Deidara's life right there. That's cool, but I just don't think Kisame is fast enough to outmaneuver Deidara for Deidara to just have an explosion defense. For example, Kisame can't outrun a C4. He's not doing it. If Deidara decides to self-implode himself, as he did with Sasuke, Kisame is dying. Kisame will not have enough time to get away from the explosion, and will not, like, in multiple instances when I was thinking about this fight and how this fight would go, I wanted to write a way to see how Kisame would have won this fight. And the only way, if Kisame nukes the battlefield right away and get Deidara underwater, that is the only way. But Deidara is smart enough to start off the fight, or at least if they're both on level head, to summon, the clay bird for him to fly up and fight Kisame at a distance. And that is just a disadvantage to Kisame. He's just going to continue to throw bombs, and if he wanted to use a big enough bomb for Kisame has no chance. I'm not saying that Kisame is not more powerful. I'm not saying that he can't use, more jutsu to probably get around it. But there's no way he's beating Deidara in this fight. Now, if this becomes like a lasting challenge, who has more chakra, if Deidara repeatedly throws bombs at Kisame with much to little no effect, then Kisame would win, of course, because Kisame has more chakra. If Kisame can outlast Deidara, sure. But we know Deidara is the ultimate crash out. Deidara will blow himself up or nuke the entire battlefield, and in that case, Kisame has no chance in that. Now you could say, oh, maybe Kisame doesn't get that much affected, of course, because he's more powerful than Deidara. Deidara still killed Gaara, who was still a Jinchuriki for Shukaku at the time. So no, he did it with much help with Sasori, but he still did it. Right, he can nuke a whole village on site if he wants to. So within that destructive power, probably the most destructive power in the Akatsuki, Kisame is losing. Now, if Kisame, maybe he has Samehada. Maybe the only instance or the only situation I could think of the head of going Kisame's way is if Samehada can eat the bombs. Now, if Samehada can eat the bombs and absorb that kind of technique or chakra, then Kisame would obviously win, because then Kisame, all he would have to do is outlast Deidara in the fight with Samehada, which he can easily do, especially if he fuses with Samehada. Then, quite easily, Kisame should be able to win that fight. But that's assuming if Samehada can, of course, absorb it. If he can't, I assume he can't, there's no way that Kisame is winning this fight. Now, let's say everything goes Kisame's direction. Samehada can absorb the bombs. You get Deidara underwater, where his explosions may not do much, or he just doesn't try a lot of destructive techniques in the water, though probably he does, because Deidara was ready to crash out at any time. Then Kisame would win that fight if everything goes in his direction. It's just Deidara is smart enough, intelligent enough, and a prodigy that we don't give credit enough for to recognize Kisame's advantages and disadvantages in this fight, and Kisame would be at a huge disadvantage. Not saying Kisame is not more powerful. He's on a whole tier level of power. Just Deidara just has the destruction tech, he has the huge advantage over Kisame towards the battlefield. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.